This is a short video that I hope will explain a little bit of how Alice's Bear Shop came to be. I was working in a teddy bear shop in Taunton. Actually a bit of job sharing with Joe. One day Joe and I were in Lyme Regis sitting in a cafe having cake and a cup of tea, and I just thought, you know, if we opened a teddy bear shop we could do it differently, a little bit more ethically, and if I was going to do that anywhere in the world I'd do it here in Lyme Regis. And it just happened that one of the local estate agents overheard us and said, didn't mean to eavesdrop ladies, but there just happens to be a little shop that's for let here in Lyme Regis. So we went to have a look and couldn't afford anything at the time, but I said yes anyway. And I figured out that if I asked people who were selling in other less ethical shops if they'd like to join me, then we could kind of be a cooperative. And so I started to ask around, and a few people came on board, and by the time the shop was due to open 1 month later we had 32 people selling through our shop, which meant we could split the rent 32 ways. Made it very affordable. Some years on, when Joe and I were working in the bear shop, Nurse Leslie, who was just plain Leslie back then, came to do a bear making class and really enjoyed it. We taught her how to make bears, and she went home and was making bears but was struggling putting the faces on. And she asked her big tattooed painter and decorator of a husband if he'd help, and he did a beautiful little face on the bear and became a bear maker too, and that's Dr. Dave. When the teddy bear hospital started to get busier, Dr. Dave came along to lend us a hand. I gave him a ring and he said yep, he'd give it a go, and he came along using the skills he'd learnt as a bear maker to fix bears alongside Joe. We were getting so busy by this point that we decided to move on to the high street. At the time it seemed like a good idea. In hindsight it wasn't. We became much more commercial, much busier, selling lots of stuff that people really didn't need. Joe fell in love, which was fantastic. Met a fantastic man called Chris. She left. We had a lady called Becky who came and joined us, and she was really good at paperwork and much more business minded. And the shop itself started to grow, but it really wasn't where my heart was. And then Maria, one of my best friends, who at the time was just a visitor to Lyme Regis and had fallen in love with the place and had always wanted to bring her family to move down, Maria came and joined the team and moved her whole family down to Lyme Regis. And then Becky left, and it was Maria and I, which was lovely. About that time there was a report released by UNICEF that said that British children were the unhappiest children in the entire developed world, and that broke my heart, because one of the reasons they were so unhappy was that they had so much stuff and stuff they didn't need, and it was exactly that kind of stuff that we were selling in our shop on the high street. So I really wanted to move away from soft toys. So we moved to a tiny little space to cut our overhead so that we could afford to lose all the soft toy sales. And Maria and I and Dr. Dave and Nurse Leslie were squashed in this little tiny room, and we needed more space. But we spent 2 years there building up the business, building up the hospital. And then one day I was walking past a local business centre, which was an old Victorian schoolhouse, and it had a sign saying that there were spaces to let. So Maria and I talked about it, and Maria said very sensibly we didn't have the money to do it, and I said possibly sensibly that we needed the space and we needed to be able to grow, and we needed a decent space to be able to do that. I took her to the pub and I bought her a couple of gins and I persuaded her, which is not a good idea. Children, don't use alcohol to make decisions. And then we moved, and now we're in a fantastic building. We have space for design and space for creation, and so our little team just isn't so little anymore. There's me and my best mate Maria, Dr. Dave and Nurse Leslie, who've been with me for more than 10 years, Max, who does all of that data management and that funky stuff with the computers. Chase is our Saturday Sunday girl, who is incredible at cleaning teddy bears and is kind of a junior nurse now in her own right. Kai, who comes along and does all of that alchemy that is social media and video recording and everything. Helen's just joined us. Helen's our business admin, and she's taking over all of the emails. It's Helen you'll speak to if you call us about the Teddy Bear Hospital. Lynn puts together all of our kits and holds all the information of how many of everything we've got in the shop. She's like a little walking computer. We've got Kat's joined us to do some Photoshop and photography and creative stuff. And we've got 3 locums. We've got Dr. Joe, Dr. Margaret and Dr. Tracy, and they each have their specialisms. Joe is great at those soft toys. When we've got soft toys that need fixing, that's a Dr. Joe. Margaret will do rag dolls and making clothes, and Dr. Tracy, she's kind of an amazing bear maker in her own right, which is where I think all the best teddy doctors come from. Quite literally knows teddy bears inside out. So that's our team, and it's a great team, and it's amazing how big and how wonderful our family has become.